Welcome students. In the class of building material construction and planning, we are going through the 4th unit, and we have saw what are the building components. We saw what are the lintels, arches, walls, right? So today class we will see about the staircases and types. What is a stair? What is the types of stairs? What is staircases and what are its types? Okay. So stairs may refer to an entire collection of steps in a building, right? So if we are having a building means you have first floor, second floor, like that, and each floor, for reaching each floor we need several steps to reach to the floor. So it is a component which helps us to move from one place to, that is one floor to the other floor. Vertically we call it as a staircase. Steps between flights. Staircase is one or more flights of stairs leading from one floor to another floor. Okay. So if I am going to have a staircase like this means, if I am going to have a staircase like this, okay. So here the steps are there. Now this one I call it as a one flight. This one I call it as another flight. This I call it as another flight. So like that, the different flight will be there. If there is a step. If it is a landing, we call it as a, this part we call it as a landing. Okay. So this, each one step we call it as a steps, and throughout this one part we call it as a flight, and all together we call it as a staircase. Okay. So staircase are one or more flights of stairs leading from one floor to another, includes landings, newel posts, handrails, everything. So in the side handrails will be there. I'll tell you all the things, okay? A stair is a system of steps by which people and objects may pass from one level of the building to the another level. Though we have so much of advanced like escalators, lift, everything, but it needs power to operate. Right? It needs some external source to operate. But with the staircase, it is part and parcel of the building. Okay? So even if a very sophisticated building or very smart building, we have escalator or lift, there should be a staircase there. And if you are going in for a modern malls or very big emergency building or multi-story building, residential buildings, we should have a emergency exit that should be a staircase. So staircase is a very important building component, right? So to get to exist from a from a room or from a building. Okay, a stair may be designed to span large vertical distance by dividing into small vertical distance called as the steps. So this is the actual definition for a staircase and also a step. A stair is divided into a very small vertical and horizontal unit. We call it as the steps. So here we can see about the technical terms. So this we call it as a steps, and this part I call it as a rise. This part I call it as a thread, right? So this is, we call it as a rise. This I call it as a rise. Okay. So this part I call it as a thread, and this one where that is the handrails. Like this part I call it as the handrails, and this one we call it as a newel part. That is the handrails that is there fixed at both ends. We call it as a newel parts. And this, in between the handrails, there is a small things which give the stiffen and hold the handrails in position. I call it as the balusters. And after the steps, we will have a landing part by which we can go to the next step or we can go to the floor. We call it as a landing. So this end and this end I call it as a newel. In between I call it as a balusters. This I call it as a handrail, risers, thread, and the handrail consists of wall strings. This is wall strings, this is balusters in between, these are newels. Okay. So the next one what I have to show you, it is the newel post, step, waist, going, rise, all the things are there. Okay. So the next one, it is we will now see what are the technical terms that are associated with the steps or staircase. So baluster is nothing but the vertical member of wood or metal supporting the handrail. So if the handrail is from here to here, right? So this part we call it as a newel. So in between there will be several vertical things that will be supporting the handrail. This we call it as the balusters. Okay, this we call it as the balusters. And handrail, the entire thing we call it as a handrail. This I told you, supporting part we call it as the newel. Newel post, this is a vertical member which is placed at the end of the flights to connect the handrail. So these three things we have known from this one flight. The next one, it is soffit. It is the underside of the staircase. If the staircase is going like this, the under part I call it as a soffit. And base is the thickness of the structural slab. So if I am going to have a staircase, means there will be one slab will be there along above which there will be a raise and the thread will be there. So that I call it as a based slab, or we call it as a based slab. It is made up of mostly the RCC member. Sometimes it will be made up of the steel, structural steel that is connecting. Nosing, it is a projecting part of the thread beyond the face of the riser. So if I am going to have this riser, the next thread it will be not exactly, it will have some projections. Okay, it will have some projections which we call it as a noser. And scortia, it is a molding provided under the nosing to provide the elevation of the step. Step I already told now, the small vertical and horizontal part that forms the staircase, we call it as the steps. And thread is the, if I am going to have the staircase, here, this I call it as a thread. This horizontal member I call it as a thread. This vertical member I call it as the rise and thread. Okay. So I am going, this rise and thread differs from each type of building, whether it is a residential building or it is a hospital building, whether it is a college or it is a mall, everything, this rise and thread it differs. And going is the horizontal distance between two successive riser face. That is, this we call it as a going, and the flight is a series of steps that contributes the one, reaches the one floor. This whole things I call it as a flight. Landing is the platform that is provided at the top of the flight in order to go for a next step or go for a that floor, right? And run is the total length of the staircase in a horizontal plane, including the landings. We call it as a run. Headroom is that actually, if you have seen that staircase will move to the last floor, right? The upper floor. After the upper floor, for moving this, they will have a room at the top, right? If this is the last floor, then above this they will have a room. In order to provide the this rainwater, sun, weathering action from affecting the staircase, everything are entering into that, we will have a headroom, right? That we call it as a headroom. Pitch or the slope is the angle at which the riser and thread. Some part you can see here it is a very deep, some part it will be very slow. That slope we call it as a pitch. It differs from, as I told you, it differs from building to building, right? The strings or stringers are the sloping wooden members which support the step in the staircase. They run along the slope of the stair. There is two type of string. One is a cut string or open string, a closed or housed spring. In a cut or open spring, the upper edge is cut away to receive the ends of the step. But in the housed string, it will be attached with the landings. Okay. So baluster we have said, walking line is the approximate line of movement of people on a stair during ascending or descending. It is known as a walking line. Okay. So how much line they are taking to walk up and down, we call it as a walking line. So now we are going for what is the requirement of a good staircase. Okay. So what are the characteristics means we will see for a building, that is materials, characteristics of a stone, characteristics of a brick, characteristics of a tiles, everything. But we have to go for requirement. What is a good requirement for a staircase? A good staircase should provide an easy, quick and safe mode of communication between the various floors of the building. In case of emergency, we should be able to reach to the one floor to another floor very easily without any much struggle, or there should not be any much any much intervention should not be there. Okay, what is the staircase? The first one, it is the location. The second one, width of the stair. Third one, length of the flight. Pitch of the stair. Headroom. Material. Balustrade. Landing. Step properties. And the rise and the rise height. Handrail and the winder. These are the 11 properties which are necessary for the requirement of a good staircase. So the location. So location, the staircase should be such that it can be easily accessible by all the peoples. So here if I am going to have a very big building, I should have a staircase at the middle so all the parts of the peoples can access to it. If I am going to have a staircase in this part alone, what will happen? From here the person should take a long time to reach there. This is not a required condition. It should be the center, or if I am not going to provide a center, I have to provide two staircases so that the persons can easily accessible to it. Okay? And also the ventilation and light should be ensured in the staircases. It should not be very dark. Right? The natural light, natural ventilation should be there in the staircase, positioning the staircase, the width of the stair. Actually, for the public building, the width should be 1.8 meters, and for residential building, it can be 0.9 meters. The width is this thread, right? So, mostly the thread 2 means it is called. So, this width should be 1.8 meters for the public buildings. Public buildings included mall, hospital buildings, or it is office building or education building. For residential apartments or the building, it can be only 0.9 meters. So the length of the staircase is restricted to a maximum of 12 and the minimum of 3 steps. Okay. So number of steps in the staircase should not be more than 12 as per the things. In some cases it can go up to 15. Pitch of the stair means a long stair should be made flatter by introducing landing. So the slope should not exceed 40 degrees centigrade and flatter than 25 degrees. So this is the pitch. This angle should be between 25 degrees and between 40 degrees. If it is more than 40 degrees, it will be a little bit steep. So when the persons coming down or going up, having some health problems, they may feel dizziness. If it is more flatter, it will occupy so much of space and it is not necessary. You have to go for number of steps, number of legs. So it has to be between 25 degree to 40 degree. Right, the slope and the headroom. That is the headroom. This should not be less than 2.1 meters to 2.3 meters. And the materials, the stair should be constructed using a fire resisting material. So most of the places we are using wood. That wood is even though it is not resisting the fire, for architectural purpose we are using the wood. But we have to be very sure that the wood which we are using also should be good seasoned wood. Right? And most of the cases we go for the glass, we go for the concrete, stones. Nowadays, outside staircases, we are going in for the steel or even the stainless steels. And balustrade should be provided with, this handrail should be provided with the balustrade. Right? If you are not provided properly with the balustrade, what will happen? Accidents may happen when there is a movement above and below the staircase. Landing should not be less than the width of the stair. Okay, so for example, if I am going to have the stair like this, I should have provided good landing which is equal to the width. I can't provide a small landing which will be more congested and there will be a torsion effect by which the staircase may fail. Why does these should be avoided and if found necessary may be provided at the lower end of the flight. So proportions of the steps are very necessary, staircase. Okay, so for example, so plus or minus 2 degrees, that is the rise can be of 60 centimeters, thread that is 400 to 450 centimeter approximately can be gone. So you can see that if the rise is of 15 centimeter, the thread can be go up to 28 centimeter. Rise is of 16 meters, the thread can be 26 meters. Like that we have to proportionate such that the steps will be easy to climb, right? So public buildings we have a rise to things. This is the horizontal distance, this is the rise, this is the thread. We have to have 15 centimeter height and we can go for 27 centimeter with 270 mm. That is the approximate thing. 30 to 14 centimeter. Okay, the maximum is 30 centimeter by 14 centimeter height. Now we will go in further what are the types of steps. I am not going to see what are the types of staircase. Now we will see what are the types of steps. First one, it is a bull nose steps. The second one, it is a round-ended steps. You can see here, right? So if the bottom of the staircase, it is like this. Okay, this is we call it as a round-ended. If the round ended is not there, if it is going to be like this, we call it as the bull nose step. This is round ended step, this is a bull nose step. What is very important of this step? The first step when we are going in for this, we have to be very particular about this. If it is very vertical means there will be so much of accidents that may take place, and the bottom will be having the persons who was landing down may fell down. So it should be like that. Then next one, it is a come out step as curved thread that rises. Even this one it is curved, we call it as a come out step. The rises will be a curved step. If the rise is a curved one, then automatically the thread will also be a curved one. The next one, it is the dancing steps or the balancing steps. We have the steps like this, one or other cases. You can see that there will be a small slope like this. If there is a small slope like this, what happened? We will have one step like this so that to balance the next step, right? This will be of original dimension, but you can see here this is of very different dimensions. This we call it as the balancing step or the dancing steps. Okay? Splayed steps. So you can see here the steps that is vertical, it is there. It is not curved. We call it as a splayed steps, and winders are the staggering steps. So when we are going, instead of putting a landing there, right, they go in for this type of winders. This should be mostly avoided. Because why they are going in for winders is that if there is very small distance but the height is very large, only number of steps are very less, then they go for this winders. So here in the landing part also they will have one or two steps. You can see this in the very congested buildings. But here you can see this winders, but mostly the winders should be avoided. Okay. So now we will go in for the types of staircases. Okay, we go for the types of staircases. So we have a circular staircase, straight staircase, circular or otherwise call it as the spiral staircase. If there is some pillar in between, we call it as the spiral staircase, turning staircase and geometrical staircase. So these are the types of stairs. A single flight straight stair, double flight straight stair, quarter turn, half turn, open wall, dog leg, bifurcated, circular, spiral, helical. We call spiral, spherical, everything as a geometrical staircase. Apart from this, we have also the different types of staircase based on the material which the staircase is made up of. Okay, this is a single flight staircase. So here you can see the staircase is of straight without any turning and other things. We call it as a straight staircase, and this staircase is of only single flight. We call it as a single flight staircase. This is the plan, this is the elevation. So the staircase running continuous throughout their entire length in one direction only, we call it as the single straight staircase. This type of staircase are mostly used in small houses or where there is a narrow wall, there is narrow space is there and we have to provide. Then we go in for this staircase. This is a double flight staircase. Double flight means we will have a landing in between. So the staircase is straight only. But instead we have after 12 steps or 15 steps we will have a landing, again that will be going this is a double flight staircase. This is the plan, you can see staircase coming, the landing is there. This, what is the plan is that when we see the staircase from the top, right, that we call it as a plan. This is a plan. And what is the elevation means? When we are seeing standing before the staircase and if I am seeing how the staircase looks, that is the elevation. Here you can see this is a double flight staircase. Here you can see a straight staircase, a landing, again a straight staircase. This is a double flight straight staircase. The next one, it is a quarter turn staircase. So the staircase running through one right angle is known as the quarter turn. It is a L-shaped staircase. Mostly this is a L-shaped staircase with windows. Mostly without windows also we can see this is a straight staircase. And there is if the quarter turn is branded into two flights and landing, we told it as a bifurcated stair. That is, it is going in for the L shape. Then here on, turn here on turn, we call it as a bifurcated staircase. Bifurcation is nothing but intrusion in between, right? So the quarter turn staircase are commonly used in the public buildings, mostly near the entrance hall, and the stair, right? This is not stair. Has a wider flight at bottom which bifurcates into two narrow flights at the landing. So this you can see that here also it is going and it is turning in the right angle. These are the other types, okay. You can see these are all comes under the quarter turn staircase. Now we will turn about the half turn staircase. Half turn staircase will be mostly like this. There will be a landing and again we can climb like this. Otherwise it will be provided with windows also. Okay, you can see here it is provided with the windows. Here it is not provided with the windows. This, if it is not provided with windows, we call it as a half turn staircase. Then if it is dog leg staircase, if it is provided with windows or the another staircase, and if it is moving, that we call it as the open newel staircase. So the dog leg staircase are used when the length of the staircase is restricted, and with this, that one, the two flights can be accommodated. So here one flight, here one flight. So here the entire thing will be taken for landing. This I call it as a dog leg staircase. Okay. So, but in the dog leg staircase, the entire staircase will be of 180 degrees by the introduction of half space landing. What is where we are using this one? Almost you can see it in the home or in the public buildings. We can see this is widely used, and this this new one you can see here. This is a dog leg staircase. Okay, here you can see the plan. It is moving like this. You can see the plan also. This is an elevation. This is actual. And what is open newel staircase is the space between the upper and lower plate cars, half space landing, right? So you can see here. Okay. So this we call it as a open newel. Mostly it will have, then it will have, again it will go like this. We call it as the open newel staircase. Open newel staircase and dog leg the staircase, we call it as the half turn staircase. The next one, it is the 3/4 stair. So mostly these 3/4 stairs are very rare. Only when there is a very close space difference we go for it. Okay, you can see here it is going like this, again landing, again going and turning back. So like this we can go in for a 3/4 staircase. You can see here, right? So it is going like this. There is a landing, again it goes and again it goes up. Like that it will have the circular like this. We call it as a 3/4 stairs. Right, so it is turning through 3 right angles is known as 3/4 stair. In this case, an open well is formed. This type of stair is used when the length of the staircase is limited and when the vertical distance between the two floors is quite large. This type of stairs are used when the length and breadth of the stair room is limited and vertical distance is large. Repeatedly again. So the next one, it is the bifurcated stair. We already saw the bifurcated stair where it is bifurcation between one stair, that is here in 90 degrees it will be bifurcated. And the next one, it is the geometrical stairs. Under the geometrical stairs we have spiral stairs, circular stairs and the helical stairs. But almost when we see actually this, it is of circular dimensions. For the plan we saw it will be either spiral, circular or helical, everything will be a circular one. So the strings and handrails are continuous without any intervening newel posts are set out. We call it as the circular stairs. If there is any central post is there, we call it as the spiral stairs. And helical stairs will be of a little bit, if it is circular like this means, we have helical like this, okay. So then we will call it as a helical staircase. So the circular stairs is made up of circular form, we call it as the circular staircase. Resembles a circular in plan. The steps wind similar to a spiral staircase. There is only a small difference, but there is no support pole in the middle. This is very important in case of a circular staircase. So if there is any support pole in the middle, it becomes a spiral staircase. As per that, technically it is there. A circular staircase have a very narrow diameter like the one seen in the picture. You can see here. This is a circular staircase. Even the helical staircase will also come like this. So here this is a mostly there is no post is there in the center, and the stair is in the circular shape. So this is a spiral staircase. Spiral staircase save valuable square meters because they occupy much smaller area than the conventional staircase. So spiral staircase can adopt different structural configuration. Mostly it is in a circular format with a central mast, right? So a spiral format or a circular format with a central mast means central post, right? A support post will be at the center to which the steps are fixed. You can see here, there will be a central post to which the steps are fixed. Nowadays, mostly we are going in for this spiral staircase even outside of the building, which can be used for reaching the different floors at a very smaller this area, right? You can see here, it is going like this side with a post in the center. Either it can be made up of stainless steel, or it can be made up of wood, or it can be made up of this steel, right? And it is a helical staircase. You can see here, circular staircase will have only it will be having a same circular dimensions throughout, but in the helical staircase we have a different. It moves from one part to other part like this, it moves like this, okay? Mostly in the architectural structures of very, high buildings, we go in for this helical staircase. Very fine, but structural design and construction is a very major, major thing, because it is very complicated. Without any central post to which the stairs are attached, we have to construct this type of helical staircase. So much of torsions will be there, and so much of unwanted force will be acting on the helical staircase. So the next one, types of staircase, that is with respect to the different materials, we can say RCC, that is reinforced concrete stairs, stone stairs, brick stairs, metal stairs, and the timber stairs, wooden stairs. So I just to tell you that if it is made up of concrete, that is pure RCC, we call it as the RCC stairs. Most of our houses, most of the residential buildings are mostly made up of the RCC stairs. The stone stairs, mostly we use it when we go out of the building, and when we have a gardens are like that, where there are small stairs like 2 or 3 steps. We go in for a stone stairs for the architectural view. The timber stairs are mainly used for the internal use. It is not used for the external use, because it will be affected by the insects and also by the weathering conditions. Mostly for the internal use, use this timber stairs, and the timber stairs are very costly compared to the all type of stairs. The next one, it is the brick stairs. So mostly the brick stairs are nowadays not used. Mostly they will use it concrete stairs, above which will have a lining of the bricks. Okay. So the metal stairs, nowadays metal stairs is gaining so much of prominence because of its strength, right? And the thing is that nowadays they are going in for even a stainless steel stair, which is which can prevent corrosions. But the actual metal stair has to be properly maintained to avoid the corrosion. But compared to this, the concrete stairs are economical, so mostly we go for a concrete stairs compared to the metal stairs. Apart from this, one more type of stair is there, that is called as the glass stairs. Nowadays, mostly you can see in most of the houses, they are going in for the glass stairs, which gives so much of aesthetic appearance to the home. You can see here, these are all made up of wooden stairs. Right, a timber stair or wooden stairs. This is a straight stair, that is a quarter turn stair. This is a circular stair. You can see this is a circular stairs. This is helical stairs. This is a half turn stair. And it is a timber stairs. You can see here, it is a different types of stairs which we can, itself gives you the stiffness. Instead of handrails, they go for without handrails, or with handrails or suspenders. They go for this contemporary structures. And this is a stone, right? This is a stone stairs. You can see here with handrails, without handrails. They can go in for a 2 or 3 different types of stones, right? Here you can see they have a very good stone layers. Stones are mainly used even in the hilly areas where the rocks are there. That itself they will dressing, they are seasoning it, cutting it so that it can be used as a staircase. You can see this is in a hilly area, right? So they are using it. And this is a glass stairs. I told you now, glass stair is also there. So here they are properly handrails, everything has to be provided so the glass can be transferring the load to the handrails. This is another geometrical glass stair. This is a spiral glass stairs are there. And we are coming to the summary that we have seen about today, the types of stairs, what are the different components of the stairs, and also we saw what are the different types of steps and staircase. And here we can see here, this we call it as a normal post. So okay, what are the things? The handrail is resting on it. This is handrail. This I call it as a balusters. This I call it as a horizontal portion, I call it as the thread. The vertical portion I call it as the riser. And nosing, this extension we call it as the nosing. The bottom post I call it as the molding, and also there are other things is that, that's all. It is very important to know these things. And this is assembled staircase. This is another type. What I want to show you is that this staircase doesn't comes under any type of staircase. This is used for temporary constructions because of its different shape. Whatever the shape that we want, we can go it for assembled. See here a cut is there. So here it is a very deep. Like that I can go in for this. So with this, these are some of the staircase that I am showing here. Nowadays even the staircase they are using it for the multiple purpose. So by this I complete the third topic or fourth topic of the fourth unit. That is, we have seen about the lintels, we saw about the arches, we saw about the vault. Today class we have seen about the staircase. The floors and roofs we will see in the coming classes. Thank you.